Welcome back. Thank you for joining me again. My name is Sharon Grimes. Today we're going to talk a little bit about Excel and one of my favorite tools in Excel, pivot tables. About a month ago, I sent out a survey asking people what they would like to learn most when it comes to Excel, and overwhelmingly, the response was learning more about pivot tables. So now I'm happy to share this information with you. It'll be a brief overview of how to use the tool, but once you start using it, I'm pretty sure you'll figure it out. I am an accounting consultant and I'd like to help you get more proficient with Excel. So recently I was asked by a colleague to help her develop a quick Excel tool to help her track her income and expenses, and something that would summarize it so that it would make filing taxes a little bit easier for her. And I was glad to help her. She wasn't ready to dive into using QuickBooks Online or Xero or any other bookkeeping software. She's still small and trying to get her bearings going. So I helped her. It was a workbook that had one tab where she entered her data, and the other tab, you hit refresh, and there was this pivot table that summarized the data, revenues, and expenses. Here is the spreadsheet that I created for her. In this tab here, she would enter the data, right? Very simple. You enter the date, let's say May 25th, 20. And I did create some drop-down menu for her to make it easier, and it follows what's on the Schedule C. We'll do insurance, and let's say her insurance is $1,500 this month, and whatever description you want to put in. Come over here, click on data, refresh, and now you will see there's the $1,500. And you can see the revenues up top with the total down here, the expenses, total expenses, and then the grand total, which is net income. I was just trying to keep this really simple for this person. Let's see how we can create one for ourselves. As you can see on your screen, I've already downloaded some data from a make-believe company. And as necessary in a pivot table, you have columns of data and each column is labeled. So here we have customer, date, transaction type, transaction number, product or service, description, quantity, sales price, and then total amount, which is the quantity times the sales price. And in our pivot table, we're going to look at how much money we've made per customer. So let's start. Come up to Insert, click on it, and it should bring you over to this ribbon, and click on Pivot Table. Now you may notice that there's some options here. Select table or range. And it's automatically going to select something for you, but if you want to change it, which we're going to, you click on the little arrow here, and then highlight the data that you want to be in your pivot table. And we're going to choose all of this data. Click on the arrow again, and it takes you back. And now you see it's got the data set that we want in there. Then you come down to choose where you want the pivot table report to be placed. You have an option of new worksheet or an existing worksheet. So if you're working on something and you really want the data to appear in a very specific worksheet, you could click on existing worksheet, click on the arrow, and then just click anywhere in the worksheet that you want. Perhaps it's in a new worksheet and you want to put it at the bottom or at the side, and you just click on that cell, and there it is. And when we create the pivot table, it would appear there. I am a big fan of using a new worksheet, and so that's what we're going to do in this example. So when I click OK, it opens up to a new sheet. Now, let's take a look at what we have. It looks kind of plain. So if we click on Customer, watch what Excel will do for you automatically. Whoa, all my customers are placed in the rows here. Now, if I click on Amount, notice it gives me the amount of revenue that we've earned from each customer. Let's say I wanted to know the product or service that I sold to them. If I just click on it, notice how it puts it there. But now, let's say I want to see the product or service in columns. If I just drag it over to here where it says columns, now look, you could get a different view. But we're going to put it back over here under customer into the rows. So notice each customer, the total is on the top. And underneath is the type of service and the amount for each service. Let's say you wanted to see the totals on the bottom. How can we fix that? Well, if we come over here to customer, field value settings, and if you look at layout and print, see right here where it says display subtotals at the top of each group? Let's uncheck that. And then if we want, we could put insert blank line after each item label. Let's do that. Now let's see what happens when we click on OK. So notice the total is no longer at the top. It's now at the bottom. That's how we like it in America. Many other countries choose the top. And then notice there's a blank line in between each customer. And that's just to make it a little easier to read. But now let's look at the column here. Notice how it looks a little bit wonky because not all of them have a decimal place. Some have 1 decimal place and some have 2. Let's make them all have 2 decimal places. So if you come down here to the sum values and click on this little arrow here and go to value field settings, see here you got number format. So if we click on number, use the comma separator, 2 decimal places, and then in the accounting world, we like our negatives in parentheses. It's just easier for us to see it that way. And then click OK, and then OK again. And now look, it looks a little bit cleaner, doesn't it? That, in a nutshell, are your pivot tables. Let's say you wanted to see quantity. Click on quantity. So now I know for Ocean View Road here, I sold them 1 fountain pump for $15. I sold them 2 rock fountains for a total of $550. The landscaping was 8.5 units. I'm going to guess that's hours for a total of $227.50. If you don't want to see it, just take it back out. And now you're back to your original pivot table. Like more information or more guidance, please feel free to reach out to me at 802-871-2616 or email me info@accountingforbuds.com. Thanks and make it a great day.